Morning Wake Up 1320 WILS. People who know me well, know my wife well, know that we have a joke between us. It's and it's something that she shares, a joke she liked with Judd Heathcote, of all people. Judd would, back in the day, say, the former Spartan coach, say that, he had kind of like not an Alzheimer's, but a halfheimer's going. You lose track of something, whatever, as you get older. And so we go back and forth, and we know that, believe me, that's a personal thing that is done, but in terms of Alzheimer's itself, it's if you've known anybody who's had it, a loved one, a friend, or dementia, frankly, there's nothing more insidious. The progress that it makes, it robs more than the person who's suffering. It robs their loved ones, their family. It's a terrible thing, but there's some hope out here and some new information. Patients suffering from Alzheimer's may have clearer memories than was previously thought. At least this is according to one study that's been done here by the Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine in Chicago. So what brought this about? What are they looking for here, and why would this be considered important? Let's talk to Dr. Al Johnson today, doctor of internal medicine, expert on brain health. Welcome back, Dr. Johnson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate you being here. Sharp memories, that's not something normally that ties into discussion about Alzheimer's. Why is this unique?
Well, this was a small group of people out of a much, much larger study on Alzheimer's, and they looked at brains of 90-year-olds that had very sharp memories from neurocognitive testing before their death. And these researchers were shocked to see that there were just 8 individuals in the study, that these 8 individuals with good memories had some changes found in the brain that you see in Alzheimer's patients. So they're saying now, well, what are all these factors, and why did this group of individuals have such sharp memories? And they found that the brain cells were preserved. So they've asked a bunch of questions. Why is this?
So are they even sure what they're looking for here, or is it just one of those things that it's so interesting to them and comes as such almost like a one-off that it's worth pursuing in and of its own self?
Yeah, exactly. It was a finding that they were surprised at. We know from the brain health aspect that there are certain older people that really do have sharp memories, good verbal skills, and we've all run into those people in their 90s and in the hundreds that are very, very bright and sharp. And so what makes these people different from others? And that's what they're looking at. We know from brain health that eating diets of high omega-3s, low on sugars, not overdoing the alcohol, not eating a bunch of crispy, high-temperature cooked foods, all that helps improve brain function. And there's a hormone in the brain that we know that makes new cells all the time throughout our life, and it's a matter of preserving those cells and then having a good amount of antioxidants in our body so those cells can live.
Yeah, I find that coffee works good too, but that's a separate.
It wakes you up.
That's a separate.
But that's
I can hear like
moderation also.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you're right. What you say about that. We've all known. My great aunt who was passed when she was 94. I mean, I could say, do you know where this certain thing is at your house? Oh, it's okay. She just had it like 5 minutes ago. If I say, do you know what happened on January 3rd, 1944? Oh, that's easy. And then she'd go through. She could tell you things were imprinted like that. And it was amazing to me to hear it. That's not that unusual, though, is it?
No, it's not. Usually if you're getting dementia, which is what Alzheimer's is the short-term memory goes first. And then the long-term memory stays around longer. The question is, how can we preserve that? And I treat people with Alzheimer's, dementia, and one of the things that I look at is microvascular disease. The brain requires glucose and oxygen to function. And if they have microvascular disease of the brain and you're in your latter 50s, 60s, then they just aren't getting enough oxygen to the brain to function. And I use hyperbaric oxygen treatment to help reverse this or stop the progression of the dementia. You get supersaturated oxygen to the brain. It helps the brain cells function and heal.
And it's fascinating how that works. I know, too, that Dr. Johnson, that there are a lot of websites now that are devoted to basically saying use it or lose it. The kind of websites where keep your mind active with certain puzzles that aren't just, they're not mindless, they're the opposite of that. Do you believe in that, too? Do you believe in that, the active mind, whether it's reading, whether it's being curious, whether it's doing those kind of progressive game, that these are things that help engage the mind and keep the mind, keep the brain itself, the physical part, and what we call the mental edge, keep it all working in good form even into an older age?
Yes, exactly. And that's the whole purpose of like rehab after stroke, brain rehab, and that. And so what we see like in a stroke situation is that if you have a blood clot to the brain, there's an area of the brain that the cells that die, and then there's a bigger area around it where the cells are idle, and you try to recoup those cells, and that's where hyperbaric oxygen treatment helps with the stroke patients, because you recover those idle cells, and with hyperbaric you do that fairly quickly because you're getting oxygen to those cells which they need to heal, and then your rehab goes more quickly, and they do that in Europe all the time.
Yeah, and is this similar to what we hear with athletes and others who use oxygen therapy to try to increase performance, who try to bounce back after a draining performance? Is it all along the same kind of mind frame here, Dr. Johnson?
Yeah, exactly. In that you got to have oxygen for healing, and you can speed that process up by using the hyperbaric oxygen, which is 100% oxygen under pressure, which increases the tissue oxygenation 10 to 15 times, depending upon the pressure that you're using in the chamber.
For people who want a low-tech way of doing this, maybe it's not exact, but I'm telling you, if you've ever lived at higher altitude, and I have in my life and worked at high altitude, and then go to sea level on a trip, when you get off the plane, literally, and you walk out, your lungs, you feel like you're Captain America. Okay, so oxygen. No, I'm serious. Oxygen. If it's that whole. If you go and you're living at 6,500 feet, and then you go to sea level, you just that oxygen. Suddenly, you're able to conquer the planet, and you can do it today. It doesn't last long, but that feeling is there, and it's a pretty cool thing. Where do we find you, Dr. Johnson, online?
Yeah, I'm at johnsonmedicalassociates.com. Or Hyperbaric Centers of Texas.com.
All right, very good. And the Johnson Medical Associates, Johnson, JOHNSONS. Always appreciate you having on. It's fascinating stuff. When we talk about Alzheimer's, it's just hugely important, such an insidious disease. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. My privilege.
All right, more coming up on your morning wake up. Do not leave. 1320 WILS.